We've been working our way through rhetorical analysis and focusing on what makes every single situation unique. Rhetorical analysis texts tend to come in five categories. Speeches, meaning one, a pre-planned event, one, if there's a death or a tragedy. Letters, which we're working on right now, and then editorials. Okay. And so letters, last week we took a look at when someone without power writes to someone with power. This week, we're going to go ahead and talk about when someone sees themselves an equal, or if they have power and they're writing to someone who, again, is either an equal or someone who's weaker. It's actually a good lead in to when we talk about editorials. But our focus with this particular text is when a stronger person is writing to someone they see as an equal. So it's a very different feel than what we saw from Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Last week, we saw Elizabeth Barrett Browning say, "Oh, sir, I am but a woman. I know my place in the time period. Wink, wink, I'm smarter than you and I can play you." But this particular letter, very, very different. I love this letter because it's Frida Kahlo pretty much saying, "I know that you are a man of power and I simply don't care. I am the expert in this situation." And that tone comes through in such an awesome way. So I'm excited to go ahead and kind of break this down with you a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at our SOAP categories here. Remember, speaker, occasion, audience, purpose. How do all of those funnel into this idea of what makes this letter unique? So our speaker, Frida Kahlo. But we can't just stop there. We know we can't stop there. She is an artist. She is a bold feminist who has no interest in playing second fiddle to Valdés or anybody else. She herself is strong and is powerful in her own right. So we keep pushing. We know she's an artist. We know she was in Power of Art. I think this is important too. She is schoolmate of President Valdés. They give us that. That means it must matter. That means they've got some history together. So unlike Browning, who's like, "Oh, Napoleon, you don't know who I am," she's like, "Hey, buddy, like we grew up together. Like this is now my tone." I think it's a really cool opportunity that she seizes upon, and it's a very, very different letter. So dynamics still matter. Speaker and audience are still connected, but it's very, very different. All right, our occasion. One, I guess the specific is Rivera's painting gets attacked. But on a larger scale, this is an attack not just on Rivera's painting, but on painting and art and culture. And there's no follow through from those in power. So, what prompts her to write this letter isn't just the attack, it's the lack of action from Valdés and other people in power. I think that's really the occasion, more than just the attack on the painting. It's a, "And then you didn't do anything about it. So now you are getting a letter from me." So that's really, really important here. Okay, audience. We, of course, know that it's Valdés. He does have power, and technically, Kahlo does not. She can't technically take action against the people who attacked this painting, but that does not mean she is powerless or that she takes on that role within this letter. She is still going to convince Valdés to use his power in the same way that Barrett Browning wants to convince Napoleon to use his power. But the tone is so incredibly different because she sees himself as an equal. Hey, we were classmates. If anything, they're not equal. She says, "I'm the artist. I'm the expert. I'm way more intelligent than you. I'm way bolder than you. So I'm going to tell you how you need to do your job and how we are going to benefit as a society, as a culture, as a nation. I'm going to advise you on how to use your power. Yeah, it's technically up to you, but I'm going to drive home exactly what this should look like." So again, both letters encourage these men to use their power, but how the writers encourage them, very, very different. Okay, our purpose, we know that the writer always wants something. We know that she wants him to take action. But again, how she persuades him is key. And a lot of that comes down to his responsibility, what he can gain as a leader, what the country can gain by him seizing this opportunity. And I think that is the core idea here. So we have some similarities, but we have also some very, very big differences. When we juxtapose these two letters from Browning and Kahlo, we start to see two very, very different approaches, similar goals, but they go about in very, very different ways. So as we think about that, that's what makes this letter unique. We once again have someone writing to a person in power, but this situation is different. It is unique. She does not fear his power. She seizes her own power. And that's a really great thing that she does. So, yes, she wants something just like Browning. She needs to convince him to use his power just like Browning. But because she sees herself as an equal or maybe even the expert, she goes about it differently. There is no delicate dance like Browning does. Kahlo has no interest in dancing around this. She is very, very direct. And that is kind of the fun of this letter that you get to play with. So as you look back at it, continue to think about our soap categories and continue to think about what makes this so incredibly unique, because it is a unique letter. It's not like any other letter. And it's not a letter that Kahlo would necessarily write to anybody else. She writes it to this particular guy that she grew up with who has power. And she says, you better use it. Here's why. Let's go ahead, get your stuff together, be a leader, and if so, we as a society can benefit. Happy digging. I'm excited to see what you come up with.